Welcome to Would I Lie to You, the show with naked truths and well-dressed lies. On David Mitchell's team tonight, I'd typically do a joke here about his Cockney roots, but I don't think that's appropriate. And besides, I don't want to mug him off. It's Danny Dyer! And a comedian who did Hispanic studies at university, partly so he could learn about the rich culture, but mainly because they were allowed a siesta in the afternoon. It's Jon Richardson. And on Lee Mack's team tonight, she's the first voice I hear when I wake up in the morning. Insert your own joke. It's Moira Stewart. And a comedian who provided the voiceover for ITV2's Magaluf Weekender, a sweaty, loud mecca for unpleasant, horny teenagers. ITV2 is available on most Freeview boxes. It's Joe Lycett. And so we begin with round one, Home Truths, where our panellists each read out a statement from the card in front of them. Now, to make things harder, they've never seen the card before. They've no idea what they'll be faced with. And it's up to the opposing team to sort the fact from the fiction. And John is first up.
On a camping trip, I won an award for having the tidiest tent, even though I'd wet my sleeping bag.
These team.
True.
Was this as a child or was this recently?
No, I was a child.
How old were you?
I guess I was about 6 or 7.
And was it the Scouts?
No.
What was it?
It was the Woodcraft Folk.
What? The Woodcraft Folk? What kind of organisation is that?
It's like the Scouts.
Is it literally about going away to craft wood, to make things out of wood? Is it more about just generally lighting fires and...?
It's woodcraft in a more general sense.
What exactly is woodcraft in a general sense?
It's, well, you know...
How do we know, John? 'Cause I don't think you know.
It's... wood...
Do you want to change the name of the organisation?
That's what they say at every meeting of the Woodcraft.
So the Woodcraft folk, they head off into the wood together, they find a clearing, they set up camp, and what sort of things do they do?
We might spot birds, we might rub trees.
Do you ever spot trees and rub birds?
Only if you don't want to get your tree rubbing and bird spotting badges.
So there are badges?
Yes?
Okay.
Yes, there were badges.
What badges do you have? Did you...
Well, first badge would be sewing badge, obviously, otherwise all subsequent badges would fall off. Then...
Bird spotting.
Bird spotting badge.
Tree rubbing.
Tree rubbing.
Tree rubbing was just to chill out. It can't all be about getting badges.
All right, how many people were in the competition of tidiest tent?
15?
Did he just suddenly go back to childhood?
15.
That's more like it. So, 15 kids, all trying to have the tidiest tent.
Well, not exclusively, but we stayed in tents, and to instill an atmosphere of tidiness, every morning there would be tent checks.
Tent checks.
And whoever's tent was the tidiest would be
How
rewarded.
many boys per tent?
Not just boys. Boys and
Whoa,
girls.
hang on a minute. These were mixed tents.
I shared a tent with my sister, who was also in the Woodcraft Folk.
How did the other Woodcraft folk react to it?
They never found out.
Did your sister find out?
Yeah. She was aware, yes. She was one of the first to be aware.
Do you think they gave you the prize to sort of patronise you, because they felt sorry for you?
A prize is a prize.
So other than the swampy conditions, it was very nice and very tidy.
Yes, the tent was very tidy because everything was outside drying off.
What do you think, Lee? Is he telling the truth?
I don't know. What do we think, Moira?
I think it's true.
You do?
Yeah.
Why do you think it's true?
He looks like a bedwetter.
Well, I know that.
thing is, when you say it, it sounds like news.
Joe?
I think it's probably true,
You're
yeah.
going around to true as well. We'll say true, then.
He's going to say true. OK. John, truth or lie?
Why would I admit on telly to such a true...
Yes, it's true. John did win an award for the tidiest tent, even though he'd wet his sleeping bag. Joe, you're next.
OK. If I'm ever walking alone at night, I call out the name of an imaginary dog to deter any muggers.
David Steve.
What's the name of the dog?
Brian.
As if it's going to be a vicious dog, it would be Brian, wouldn't it? Definitely.
And do you think a would-be attacker would, from the tone that you say Brian, know that you mean a dog and not a Brian?
To me, it sounds like you'd be calling a, you know, a middle-aged civil servant to you.
Well, it's because I read an article written by Darren Brown in which he said if you're in a situation where things look like they're getting a bit choppy, if you do something unusual, the other person is so sort of freaked out by that they generally stop doing what they're doing if they're being a very...
How do you shout? Imagine I'm a terrifying would-be assassin.
You know, in your whole panel, maybe you're not the first choice for that role.
John, imagine if John was... all right, imagine Danny is a terrifying would-be assassin.
Yes.
And go for it.
Brian. You don't want to attack me now, do you?
No, that's terrifying to me. Is it just someone comes up to you at night, you know, mates ask for the time, you go, Brian, you just flip out, or is it a general mugging?
I like you, Danny.
Everyone's got their own showbiz personas, and you and Danny completely gone for different ones, haven't you?
I think we're very similar in many ways.
Yeah, no, I do.
We're lovers.
Danny, stay calm, please.
Push me.
Stay calm down, calm
Oh,
down.
you had to start shouting, Brian.
Just say, Joe, you're playing with fire there. I'd leave it there.
I'm feeling this one.
You think it's true?
Read a Darren Brown book for a start. He's that sort of...
I believe the Darren Brown article, but the whole point of that is that you say something random that sort of puts people off their stride, whereas you're going for something specific, calling upon a dog called Brian to come to your aid. But that's immediately disprovable. The absence of Brian is immediately evident. Whereas calling upon Brian, they're going to go, Brian? Oh, there's no Brian. Fine.
My big sticking point is still, if you were trying to create the illusion that you had a dog, why you would give it a person's name.
Yeah.
Would you shout dog?
You'd shout like...
Dog. Rover or Fido.
That would be good. If he had a dog called Dog, that would... Dog! Dog!
What would you call him, John? Rambo,
Well,
Tyson?
my defence is slightly different. I would wet my pants.
So, what are you thinking, David?
John.
I don't believe it.
Danny,
So I think it's true.
you think it's true?
I think he's that...
Now I have to make a decision. My gut is that it's not true.
Let's go no then. Let's have a lie.
Let's say lie.
You're going to say lie.
Yeah.
OK. Joe, truth or lie?
It was a lie.
Yes.
Yes, it was a lie all along. Joe doesn't call out the name of an imaginary dog to deter muggers. Danny, you're next.
It's a possession.
All right, OK, there's a box under the desk. Now, if you could, first of all, read the card out that's in the box.
All right.
And then take out the possession and pop it on the desk.
Last year, on a visit to the zoo... I've been to a zoo, you know what I mean? Last year, on a visit to the zoo, I put on a mask so that no one would recognise me. This is that mask.
But no need to be quite so aggressive, I would say.
Could you put it on your face, please?
Yeah, no, I'll
Danny?
whack it on you, of course, yeah.
Let me have a look. Now, can I just hear you say, 2 ice creams, please.
Can I get a couple of ice creams?
Excuse me, I hope you don't mind me asking, but aren't you Danny Dyer wearing the So, OK, now...
Can I take it off now?
Yes, of course you can.
So where did you get that mask from?
Huh?
You were, don't buy for time.
I'm not buying for time. I bought it at the zoo, didn't I? Well, where do you think I bought it? Look at it.
So did you plan, before you went to the zoo, not to be recognised? That was always part of the plan?
No, you never know, really. You go out with your kids and that, you know,
And then when you got to the zoo, you decided to...
Well, it was on me, and...
What was on you?
Like people.
People were on you?
Not on me.
No, but I mean giving you the...
Drive me mad,
Yeah.
right? Nice people, it's all love and all that, but I needed to do something about it because, you know, me little one was getting the hump. You know, I was trying to look at the... You know,
the
giraffes, a drugged-up giraffe. The giraffe didn't look well, to be honest with you.
You've been around the zoo a bit, you're getting a bit of grief, you've had enough, you go to the gift shop. Any reason why you chose a child's one? Because it looks very small on your head, that night.
It was just the first one I picked up. I needed to get one on Lively. I actually bought it, you know, with it on. Do you know what I mean? I whacked it on.
You didn't even want the person selling you it to recognise you. Did you not scream and say, we've got an escapee?
Danny, where is this zoo?
It's round the corner from me. It's in Essex. It's only a little number. You know, there's a couple of rabbits in there. I mean, you know.
Did you go and see the zebras?
It didn't have any. Not a zebra about them.
Well, you say that. Are you sure they weren't wearing a Danny Dyer mask?
No. Well, there was one, wasn't there? There was one. I was disappointed. I ain't gonna lie. Felt bad for her, you know. I took her out on a day out and I took her to a moody zoo. I mean, it wasn't...
Moody zoo?
A moody zoo. You know, I really promised. I said, listen, babe, me and you were going to go out and have a lovely day. And I took her to see a couple of rabbits and a moody giraffe, you know what I mean? So, in general, you know, it was a bit of a letdown.
Do you mind just one more time placing that
Yeah,
on?
I'd love to put it on. Love to.
It's very small. I reckon that I could recognise you from the voice and what's showing on the face.
Yeah. Was this before you were on EastEnders or afterwards?
This was before.
So you weren't being mobbed loads?
Well, still getting it a bit, you know what I mean? A lot of my fans... Can I take this off again now?
I wish you would, yes. Yes, I'm a little disturbed.
No, you know, a lot of my fans hang out in zoos, so... So, you know...
So what do we think, Maura?
I think he is so cool that he can do other things rather than wear a zebra mask.
To stop the attention?
People, yes.
Like what?
Saying, hey, no. I think he can get...
So hang on. So is that what you do when people ask for photos? Excuse me, are you Moira Stewart? Oh, no.
So what's it going to be,
So
Lee?
Moira says it's a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably
Sure.
a lie.
You say lie? OK.
Yeah, a lie, yeah, a lie.
I'll go with my team and say lie, then.
You're going to say lie? OK. Danny, truth or lie?
It's the truth.
Yes, it's true. Danny did wear a mask so he wouldn't be recognised at the zoo. Our next round is called This Is My, where we bring on a mystery guest who has a close connection to one of our panellists. This week, each of Lee's team will claim it's them that has the genuine connection to the guest, and it's up to David's team to spot who's telling the truth. So please welcome this week's special guest, Charlotte. So, Joe, what is Charlotte to you?
This is Charlotte. In the evenings, I like to relax by watching videos of her wrapping gifts on YouTube.
Right. Moira, how do you know Charlotte?
This is Charlotte. She does such a good impression of me that I once let her pretend to be me on Radio 2 and no one noticed.
And Lee, what is your relationship with Charlotte?
This is Charlotte, and she's my judo instructor. And she told me off recently when she caught me having a pint in my judo kit just before a tournament.
Before a tournament? Oh, that's the very worst time to be drinking, isn't it?
David, where do you want to start?
Well, Joe, that sounds like one of the creepiest things I've ever heard. You watch her on YouTube wrapping presents.
Yes.
Why?
Because she's very good at it.
That is not an explanation. That's why you might ask her to wrap presents for you. not observe her doing it?
Well, no, what she does it... she takes great care over the way she's doing it. And it...
So she's slow?
She's slow and
so not very good at it. So...
Joe, how long does it take Charlotte to wrap a present, would you say?
In the videos, I think it's about half an hour.
Half an hour per present? What are these presents?
Is she wrapping a tank? I mean...
Why did you initially think, what I need to relax is to watch someone wrapping presents on my computer?
Well, since I've been a child, I've had this weird sensation when I watch people with bits of paper, particularly, where I get this lovely, like, tingling in the back of my head. And I remember it when my grandmother was doing some paperwork and she licked her finger and turned a page and it made me feel really, really lovely.
The saddest thing is the idea that when you used to go around to your grandparents' house as a child, she used to do her paperwork while you were there. Mine used to take me out, they'd maybe cook lunch. Yeah. Joe's coming round, brilliant. I've got some receipts I need to go through, so...
Do you think then what you're saying, John, is that because of the years of neglect that Joe suffered as a child, he's come to substitute paperwork for love?
It's a relaxing thing. It's like having a massage rather than, like, a sexual thing. It's not a...
Opening, I understand. I understand a video of someone getting a present and watching the joy. Watching someone wrap a present, do you get to see who opens it? Or it just gets wrapped and that's the end?
I suppose you could play it backwards, couldn't you?
All right, David, who else would you like to question?
She's the best... She does the best impression of you ever.
Absolutely.
And how did you find this out?
I walked in on the production team on the floor, 2 floors down from my studio, and she happened to be in mid-rap.
She was rapping then.
Oh, she was rapping.
Can I just remind you of who's saying what?
She was in mid-imitation.
Right, OK.
So she works at the Beeb?
Yes, she's a researcher.
Right, OK.
So she was mimicking you
Yes.
behind your back?
So really, take a liberty, really, in a way.
Having a giggle.
And you rewarded her by whacking her... Not whacking, sorry. You rewarded her by putting her on your show. That was
Not my show. It was the Chris Evans
Chris
breakfast
Evans' show.
Yeah.
So she actually read a bit of your bulletin
Yes.
on his show.
His idea.
Oh, it was his idea? Yep. He's a little imp, isn't he? So what would the introduction be? I mean, I'm trying to think now, and I listen to you every day. Of course I do.
The introduction is, this is BBC News on the date. I'm Moira Stewart. Good morning.
I'm genuinely having a panic attack that my kids are late for school.
And that's the bit that Charlotte did?
Yes.
It's possible. I think Moira's voice would be difficult to impersonate.
Don't encourage Rob.
No, on this occasion, have a go.
All right, I'll give it a try.
But if it doesn't work, you may never do Ronnie Corbett again.
No. That's too great a risk.
So,
right. What about Lee?
Lee, yes, tell us about how you got into judo in the first place.
Well, how does anyone get into judo? I was watching Kung Fu Panda.
And ruled out Kung Fu.
My kids loved it, and so they decided to take up martial arts, and they decided to take up judo. So I took my children to the judo, and it was a bonding thing. I said, all right. They said, come on, Daddy, you do it. So I joined the adult class whilst they did the kids' class.
How many weeks have you been going to judo?
I'd say I've been through about 30 lessons.
So it's like a weekly class
Correct.
for judo, but how does the tournament work?
Well, after
Is that on the same day as the class, or...?
Yeah, so we do it every week. We have a class, and then he said to all the men and the women in the class, he said...
Who's he?
Charlotte.
No, I haven't got to Charlotte yet. I haven't got to Charlotte.
So I thought she was your judo instructor.
She is.
She is?
She is, yes.
But he said...
Let me finish. I said tournament. Tournament? I've already done I said, I'll do a tournament when you have a sex change, mate. So she said, next week we're going to have a little bit of a tournament between you lot. So I thought it was just all a bit of fun, so I turned up the following week, ready for my tournament, and I got there a bit early, dropped the kids off, but the adult class starts a bit later, and saw the pub, went over, and I was chatting with the other bloke, who's one of the dads.
All right, so you're both in your judo gear?
Yes.
What's the name for that?
I call it the white dressing gown.
And she's come bowling in.
So she's come bowling in. I said, bowling's next door.
Why is she in the pub?
Because she's looking for us, and we've gone on a bit late.
Oh, you've got...
Yeah,
right.
well, actually, what actually happened was we were a bit late.
Yeah, what did actually happen?
She's walking past the pub. We were actually at the bar, sort of looking out the window, having a pint and a chat, and we literally saw someone just sort of walk past and go... and then come in the pub and tell us off.
Because used to being, the star pupils, obviously, you know, you was going to...
That's not how it works in martial arts, Stanley. Not just the star pupils get respect.
Ah.
Everyone is equal.
And what's your favourite move in judo? Because judo is full of a wide variety of stances and moves. What's the one that really gets Lee thinking, this is
You
for
had to
me?
narrow it down to your favourite 6 or 7.
I think it's probably teppanyaki.
Sorry? That's a starter dish, isn't it?
Well, that's the funny thing. All judo moves are named after dishes. I did the sushi, the teriyaki, and the weird one you're not going to believe, the pot noodle.
If you wanted to demonstrate any moves, the floor is yours.
Oh,
if you feel that would help prove your point.
So, well, what you do is, what would you like to see?
Well, first of all, your opening stance.
OK. Well, don't do it back. Well, an example of a move. Rob, come out here, I'll show you.
Not in a million years.
Yeah, go on, get involved. Get involved.
You started it. You started this, Rob. Do you remember a minute ago when you said, get out there? You're regretting that, aren't you, Rob? Right, stand
How
there.
well have you taught him?
Stand there. Right. So what you do, the first move you'll do.
Bow to him, Rob,
Yeah,
for God's sake, or he'll kill you.
Not the first thing you do. Then you come here.
Brian!
You take a lapel like this.
Yeah.
You will take a lapel like this.
Yeah.
OK.
Whoa!
Right foot forward like this.
Yeah. Don't you dare.
I will. And then you get like that, and then you sort of lean on, and then you... Sorry, Rob.
They just said in my ear, are you OK, Rob? I'm a BAFTA-nominated actor! So, we need an answer. David's team. Is Charlotte Joe's soothing stranger, Moira's mimicking mate, or Lee's martial arts master?
Well, let's just get Lee out of the way. It's just silly.
Oi, come over here and say that.
Yeah, well, it doesn't seem very plausible, but that was a good move.
Well, he goes over easy, though, doesn't he? I think it's Moira. I think Joe, he's an odd mark, but I don't know. What do you think,
John?
I think it's Moira.
Yeah.
I think we think it's Moira. I think on the basis that Lee has shown himself able to push Rob over, and that's not nothing. At the same time, it's not much. Whoa, hang on a minute. Just the rapping thing, that's just so confusing as a thing that I think I'm going to pretend I've never heard it. So,
You're going to
Team
Moira.
Happy will go for Moira.
The impersonation, the first
Yeah.
bit of the news.
Exactly.
OK. Charlotte, would you please reveal your true identity?
My name is Charlotte, and Joe watches my videos to relax on an evening.
Thank you very much, Charlotte.
Thank you.
Which brings us to our final round, quickfire lies, and we start with... It's Moira.
On a cold winter's evening, I like to treat myself to a jacket potato with a melted Kit Kat on top.
David's team.
And now the weather. I mean, it sounds delicious the way Moira puts it. You know, I mean...
Any butter involved in this, or just a straight Kit Kat?
No, this is... but very, very, very hard skin.
Sorry?
The jacket potato...
Oh, right, what's a really crispy jacket
very
with...
crispy,
and
yes.
what sort of steak's the Kit Kat in?
It's melted.
A complete... What about the wafer? That don't really melt, does it, wafer? So...
Well, it adds a sort of an interesting kick.
Chunky or forefinger?
Fair enough.
Sorry, you'll have to excuse John. He's not been speed dated before.
I only know the double Kit Kats.
You've not heard of the classic four-finger Kit Kat?
Look, times are hard.
When did this start, Moira? How did you discover this?
Ooh, about 3 years ago.
Really? And what sparked it off?
I thought I like jacket potatoes.
Who doesn't?
I've done the tuna.
Who hasn't?
Let me try the Kit Kat.
Why not?
the next one is next stage, yeah.
Tuna Kit Kat. Have you ever heard, Moira, of cheese?
Just a couple of years ago, someone introduced you to it. Go, listen, you want to whack a Kit Kat? The jacket potato.
I don't think anyone Moira knows has ever used the phrase whack a Kit Kat on a... I don't think Moira knows anyone at all. Am I right, Moira?
Can I ask more about the cooking process?
It's very, very lengthy.
Moira, don't push it.
I mean, obviously, of course, but at the end of it, you've got a jacket potato with a Kit Kat on it, so it's worth hours and hours of work.
You blast it in the microwave, then you put it in the oven for, about 20 minutes. Then you halve it, then you slap the Kit Kat on top, do another 10 minutes.
So what do you think, David? Is she telling the truth?
I think it sounds like a disgusting meal.
Am I the only one that thinks that actually sounds really nice? I quite like that.
Yeah. I like cars and I like chips, but I don't drive over my chips. Not everything that you like should be mashed together in the same...
That's Rich coming from 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown.
So what are you going to say, David?
Danny,
I think she's a very sophisticated woman, and I think, very cultured. No way in the world would this lady whack a Kit Kat and a jacket potato.
That's the line we go out on.
I think, all in all, we don't believe it.
So, Moira, truth or lie?
I'm not having it, it's a lie.
And that noise signals time is up. It's the end of the show, and I can reveal that David's team have won by 3 points to 2. But, of course, it's not just a team game. My individual liar of the week this week is Danny Dyer. Yes, Danny Dyer, mainly because I'm frightened of what he might do to me if I give it to someone else. Good night. Welcome to Would I Lie to You, the show in which it pays to be economical with the truth. On Lee Mack's team tonight, a man who recently received a prestigious award for slapstick comedy. It was a real pat on the back, followed by a kick up the bum and a pie in the face. It's Bob Mortimer! And a comedy actress. A comedy actress who collects vintage clothes for a hobby. Have a look in David's wardrobe, you'll be in for a treat. It's Catherine Parkinson. And on David Mitchell's team tonight, a sports fanatic and one of the finest BBC presenters. Football, cricket, boxing, just 3 of the things she could beat me at. It's Gabby Logan. And a wildlife expert who is always on the lookout for strange and unusual species. So if halfway through the show he throws a net over Lee, we'll know why. It's Steve Bagshaw. course, with round one, Home Truths, where our panellists each read out a statement from the card in front of them. Now, to make things harder, they've never seen the card before. They've no idea what they'll be faced with. It's up to the opposing team to sort the fact from the fiction. Gabby is first up tonight. Gabby, please reveal all.
I once had to give Alan Hansen a piggyback across a muddy car park because he didn't want to ruin his new suede shoes.
Please, team.
Who is Alan Hansen?
He was...
Are you serious, by the way?
No.
Oh, OK.
No, I think he's the handsome Thunderbirdy one.
That's right, yes. Yeah.
Where was this?
Old Trafford.
That was the muddy field?
No, the car park outside of Old Trafford.
Oh, it was the car park of Old Trafford.
It was a very wet, typical kind of northwest day. And
Let's not be northernist.
The car park was actually flooded in some areas and quite wet. Yeah. And we'd had an evening match. It was an FA Cup replay, and he was joking about his shoes, and I, for a laugh, said, "Just jump on."
And how far...
How do you think I got to host match of the day?
How far did you take it? Him?
It wasn't far. We'd just come out where the studio is, and it was probably from here to that camera over there. Mark Lawrenson said, "Oh, don't worry, Gabby will give you a lift." And I said, "I will. I'm strong."
So Mark Lawrenson suggested it to Alan Hansen.
No, because...
Jump on her back.
Who is Mark Lawrenson?
Al said... Oh, hang on a second. Al said...
Please don't start impressions, because he will start. That's all I ask for you tonight. Please tell me what he called it wasn't.
Is it all right if I jump on your back, Gabby?
Is that Mark Lawrenson or Alan Hansen?
And Mark Lawrenson went, "Hey, go on, jump on her back." And you feel like you were there, don't you? You feel like you were there.
If you're going to come on your Jon Richardson, you've got to be absolutely sure you're Jon Richardson. I think you've been in front of your head or move till you go and say what you see anyway. It doesn't matter there. You've got to come from the back and get up front.
2 words for you. Duncan Bannatyne. That's it. Alan Hansen is, that is, woeful defending.
What?
Woeful defending.
What are you doing now? That's Harry Seacombe.
So, I still want to focus on the details.
OK.
Has Hansen in any way given you any warning, or has he just lunged and jumped?
To be fair, he did. He kind of went, "Oh, she wouldn't be able to carry me," and that was a red rag to a bull. I just went, "Yes, I will."
No, that sounds awful.
I don't know. I get used to those kinds of requests at work, you know.
So what do you think? Could she have done this?
Well, I mean, I'm still not entirely sure who Alan Hansen is. I've got very confused with all these different impressions because they're all quite different.
Well, there's just picking you Duncan Bannatyne. You're always going, "Oh, yeah, I do this one of us, doing it anyway. I'm out."
Yeah.
So what are you going to say?
I wish Alan Hansen had a catchphrase. That would have helped me.
He did. You'll never win it with kids.
You'll never wear anything with kids.
You'll never win anything with kids.
That's a phrase you don't want to be taken out of context.
He was referring to Manchester United, who,
Oh, right.
who
Who
had
had
very young...
children playing for them.
All right, what's it going to be?
I'm sure it's true.
You think it's true?
I don't think it's true. Sorry. I just have this feeling deep inside that Alan Hansen and Mark Lawrenson don't speak to Gabby.
I know what you mean. I've been swayed now.
Since I don't know who any of these people are, maybe you should go with Bob.
OK. Bob will take leadership.
OK.
And responsibility. As we say, it is a lie.
So, Gabby, truth or lie?
It is a lie.
Oh.
Yes, it's a lie. Gabby didn't give Alan Hansen a piggyback across a muddy car park. Bob, you're up next.
As a teenager, I used to terrorise my neighbourhood with a game I invented called Theft and Shrubbery.
What were the rules of theft and shrubbery?
Can I first of all say my memories of this are a bit sketchy?
Always handy for this game.
Yeah. No, but I'm an older gentleman. They're more like just fingerprints on an abandoned handrail. It's Equidistant.
Even while you poetically describe the ageing process, another part of your brain is inventing the rules of a fictional game.
It's Theft and Shrubbery.
Yeah.
It's a game that I played in my youth, in my teens, on the Lakes estate in Middlesbrough. I would probably be 14 or 15. I hope that's all the information you need.
As to what this game involved.
Yes, of course.
Of course. In which case, I'm satisfied and there's no need to tell me. What were the rules?
There would have to be a gang of you. I would usually be with Staver and Bagger.
Well, I didn't realise you knew hobbits as a child.
Neil Overall, Jerry Dungaree's son, of course.
Didn't take his father's name.
Hated him. Yeah. Hated him. So, and Gary Cheeseman would be there. The reason he was called Cheesy is because his mum used to give him a cheese. Do you know the cheese slice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To take out with him when we were hanging around the shops and that, because she thought it was good for his spots. And she'd want him to personally slice.
Surely it's because of his surname Cheeseman.
No.
Surely that was part of it.
Do you know, Gary Cheeseman was a big lad, yeah? A very big head. Sniper's dream, they used to call him. Oh, he's such a nice... The thing is, he's such a nice lad. And he was a...
I love these points in the show where we say, Bob, let's all gather round the fireside and you can tell us tales of your youth.
So the rules of the game, of course you will not. The rules of the game. Theft and... Shrubbery. Were relatively simple. You had to creep into the back of someone's house and observe the family watching the telly or whatever they're doing, yeah?
It's getting a bit sinister now, Bob.
Yeah, I know.
Is this at night?
This is on the evening time, yeah.
So the family, as it were, backlit by the domestic lighting?
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you'd find one where the curtains were open, yeah? Go to the rear of the garden and then you'd slowly walk towards the window, right? Try not to disturb them, and you'd chant, increasing the volume as you went, "We do beg your pardon, but we are in your garden." And then you gradually get closer and closer to the window, and as soon as you were seen, that's when shrubbery comes in.
Which was what?
You were not allowed to escape via the front of the property. You had to go across all the fences. Because you're teenage, what you're really waiting for is someone to make a noise or give yourself away, so that you all have to go run through all the gardens.
That's the shrubbery part.
That's the shrubbery
What's
part.
the theft part?
The theft is... We just always felt that we were stealing something from them.
Their privacy.
Their privacy, their dignity.
So you're going up the garden saying louder and louder, "We do beg your pardon, we are in your garden." We do beg your pardon, we are in your garden. You're shouting.
How loud
elderly people who are hard of hearing, you could be going, "We do beg your pardon, we are in your garden," before they notice it.
Yeah.
This game can't have lasted, I'm imagining, very long before people kind of rumbled you and...
No, it was just one of the games, that we did. It could be theft and shrubbery night. There was another night where we used to take fruit from a fruit vendor's wagon and throw that up in the air and just let it drop on our heads.
Something tells me you played that quite a lot, Bob. Next time, don't use melons.
Cheeseman was very good at it.
So what do you think, David?
Steve, what do you
My
think?
concern is that the details are so utterly believable and sound like they're real that if it wasn't actually a game, he spent an awful lot of time looking through people's windows.
I'm coming down on the side of truth.
Yeah, I know it sounds odd, but I just believe it.
Are you going to say truth?
Yeah.
OK, so, theft and shrubbery. Bob, truth or lie?
I was telling the truth.
Our next next round is called This Is My, where we bring on a mystery guest who has a close connection to one of our panellists. Now, this week, each of David's team will claim it's them that has the genuine connection to the guest, and it's up to Lee's team to spot who's telling the truth. So please welcome this week's special guest, Miller. So, Steve, what is Miller to you?
This is Miller. He presented me with a trophy after I rode 2 miles down a river on an inflatable rhino.
Gabby, how do you know Miller?
This is Miller, and I know Miller because we often take one of my dogs flying.
And finally, David, what's your relationship with Miller?
This is Miller. I accidentally outbid him for a cuckoo clock when I sneezed at an auction.
So there we have it. Lee's team, where do you want to start?
Should we start with... Who do you want to start with? Steve?
Yeah.
So, just remind us again, because I'm confused with the words.
So he gave me a trophy after I rode 2 miles down a river on an inflatable rhinoceros.
What a man.
Catherine, did I ever tell you about the time I rode down the river on a real rhinoceros?
On its horn.
Just say it.
Why have you kept in touch, Steve?
We haven't.
Did you not like him?
It takes place in Fort William in Scotland, and I very rarely go there.
And is this an annual event?
Yes, it's the river that runs down the side of Ben Nevis, which is a whitewater river, and it's run on lilos, usually.
I've been on that amazingly, I honeymooned very near there.
You weren't there at the time that this event was taking place?
No, but I know that is true, that Fort William is near Ben Nevis, so that bit...
This is the bit I'm worried about, because I need your help, and so far you go, oh, this is true, there is a mountain.
What's such a big deal about Miller that he got to present the trophy?
That's very aggressively put.
What does Miller do?
The race is run to raise money for the Le Carver Mountain Rescue. It's paddled to raise money for the mountain rescue. And,
what a man.
Miller's...
Was everyone else on an inflatable animal?
Everyone else was on lilos.
As in the traditional, what I'm thinking of as a lilo is just like a bed that's inflatable.
Traditional, what you sleep on when you go camping.
So it's a fun event where it's like the water equivalent of a fun run. You've got to try and stay on in a hostile environment on a lilo that's not designed for it. Yeah?
So why did you choose to do a rhino?
I was going off script. I went down to Toys R Us to try and get what I thought would be... I wanted to get an inflatable T-Rex, but they didn't have one. They just had a rhino.
So you're saying there's a great big Toys R Us next to Ben Nevis?
That's not true. That's not true.
All right, who are you going to move on to?
OK, Gabby. Tell me again. Something about dogs flying.
So, Miller has his pilot's licence, and we take my dog flying occasionally.
We?
Me and Miller.
You two take the dog?
Yes, Miller flies the plane.
And what do you do?
Right,
You're a passenger, or are you learning to fly?
No, I'm not yet. I'm not learning to fly yet. But,
That's instantly much more credible, because I thought you meant that your dog flew on its own. So I'd already excluded you from this, but now I understand.
It's not you who wants to go, it's the dog that wants to go.
No, initially I wanted to go. It was an accident the first time. He kept his light aircraft at an airfield, and I had taken... I was taking the dog for a walk in a park nearby, and basically I was supposed to meet my husband to hand the dog over. He'd got delayed, and I turned up and I was about to say, I'm really sorry, it's not going to happen today, I've got the dog. And Miller's up for it, and he said, just bring the dog with you.
Right.
And that was the first time.
So then what happened the second time?
Well, the dog just loved it. The dog, like, you know...
Did it tell you?
When this man approached you with a plane nearby, you are happy to assume he was a pilot. Take your dog up.
We pre-arranged the whole thing.
I don't think you've told us the breed.
Boxer.
Boxer.
Yeah.
Boxer's a big dog.
Miller's a boxer.
Big dog, a boxer. Does he wear a seatbelt?
Yes, but he doesn't... honestly, he's so laid back. He just kind of, like, sinks into the seat and...
He wears a seatbelt?
Well, you strap him in.
He's put a seatbelt on.
Are you sure he's not terrified?
He's never peed himself on these little hops.
Yeah, but what about the boxer? OK, so this is the bit now, it's the detail. It's the seatbelt.
Well, when
Dog in a seatbelt?
A seatbelt on, because the first time, because I didn't know, if he'd react OK, so I, being his, his mummy...
No, you're not his mummy, Gabby. Your husband is very ugly.
No, but in his...
Final question. If there's a bit of turbulence, do you ever turn around to him and say, is it windy, Miller?
Now, what about David and the cuckoo clock?
Wow. Oh, wow. There you go.
Well, I'd be interested to know what your accidental outbid was for what amount.
I think it was about £250.
And had you been bidding up to that point and then stopped?
I had not.
You'd not bid at all?
No.
What were you there for?
I was there because my wife wanted to buy a dining room table.
MFI was shut, was it?
No, because as you've had occasion to mention, Lee, I'm terribly, terribly posh.
Right, and so you could feel it coming on as the bit... And were you worried that this was going to...
Well, no, I wasn't. I didn't think this would happen. It was a ridiculous thing to have happened. If you told me beforehand, would this happen? I'd say, no, I would never believe anything like that could happen.
You have to convince us we're struggling.
Yeah. I get hay fever at some times of the year, and this was one of those times.
You're not going to end this story weirdly. Every time I sneeze, I hold up a number.
I didn't hold up the number. I sort of had the number there, but I didn't hold it up.
What did you do then?
I sneezed.
Surely if the system is you hold up a number, at some point your hand must have come up as well.
You're echoing my very words. That's what I said. Of course, it's a ridiculous situation. Someone sneezes, they just happen to have the number slightly visible and the auctioneer takes that as a bid. What sort of a system's that?
Let's have a quick reenactment of the moment. I mean, you were at 240 pounds going to the gentleman in the nice, soft, crushed velvet. 250 pounds!
What kind of system is this?
How lovely that David Mitchell has bid for this and the money will go to a good home. Thank you, David.
Oh, no, please, auctioneer, but... Oh, all right, I'll be quiet. This is so embarrassing.
So how did you make the connection with the miller?
Because I was aware that he'd made the penultimate bid, but I tiptoed up to him afterwards and asked if he wanted to buy it for the...
For his last bid?
For his last
Which
bid.
was
so
what?
I would only have been, I think, about 10 or less than I'd bid.
But if you exploded that, I don't believe you would have tiptoed.
And I probably didn't actually tiptoe. I wasn't actually... I was probably resting on the heels of my feet. But I walked what I thought was quite discreetly, although I accidentally bought a couple of vases on the way.
All right, we need an answer. So, is Miller Steve's prize presenter, Gabby's pet pilot, or David's clock collector?
Well, I believe that he gets hay fever, David, but none of the rest of it.
So you believe the cool thing?
Yeah.
So, Catherine, you're saying it's not David?
I don't think it's David. I believe Steve's won trophies, but none of the rest of it. So I believe Gabby. I think that all sounds
You
very
believe
true.
she likes to take a boxer dog flying?
Yeah.
With Miller?
Yeah.
I don't think you can take a dog on a plane,
You can take dogs on planes if you go through the correct channels.
Really? You
They
can?
sent a dog into space.
They never got it back.
They sent a dog into space.
I don't believe Gabby's story, but I do think he looks like a pirate.
That's the... Now, you see, if we're going to talk about looks, I would say it's the only time I am going towards David. He looks like a man who's desperate for a cuckoo clock. He looks like a man whose budgie recently died. And he's looking for some company once an hour, but just for a split second.
I'm with Gabby.
You think it's Gabby. You're saying...
Let's say Steve.
When all three of us are agreed it's not David.
Yes.
Yep.
We're going with Gabby and the flying.
You're saying it's Gabby, it's the dog in the plane. Miller, would you please reveal your true identity?
OK, I'm Miller. I presented Steve with a trophy for riding down a river on an inflatable rhino.
Yes, Miller gave Steve a trophy. Thank you, Miller. Which brings us to our final round, quick-fire lies, and we start with... It's Lee.
Last month, I was honoured to be made captain of my netball team.
David.
How many players are there in a netball team?
What?
How many players are there in a netball team?
You didn't let me finish the sentence. Last month, I was honoured to be made captain of my netball team. Shortly afterwards, I was sacked after I picked the wrong amount of players. problem as captain. Never knew.
I'm fairly sure.
5.
5.
5.
Is that
No.
No.
Wait, go through the positions for me then. Will you remind me again what they are?
Afterwards, having a drink now.
You play with 2 less than most other teams.
That's why we were so good. I'll tell you what it was. There was quite a lot of players, and I was as captain. I was getting people on and off all the time. And
so you lost track of how many were on.
You had rolling subs, did you?
Rolling subs. Yeah, that was her name. That was her nickname, anyway. She waddled on like that. Come on, let her have a go on rolling subs. She got the nickname because she'd eat too many Subway sandwiches.
What's the name of the team?
Well, I go by their initials. One was called GK. One was...
What's the name of the overall team?
Yeah, that's what was on their overalls. No, it was... so the team, they were all women, apart from myself, because I'm a man.
So it wasn't a men's netball team, it was a women's netball team with one man.
But I was asked to
What
be...
position do you play?
I played the goalkeeper. Not the net keeper. That's the mistake I made.
Goal defence? No, you have a goalkeeper and a goal defence.
Oh, okay. Do you?
Yeah.
Thank God for that.
I don't think we established the name of the team. They must have had a name.
So basically, I will now come up with 6 names of girls.
No, we don't want
team name.
Team name.
Said, what were the girls called? What is the team name?
There's the Surrey Storm.
Oh,
so with these ladies.
I got it. It was the Surrey Storm.
It wasn't. That would be too much of a coincidence.
It was. Isha Ladies.
Isha Ladies.
I was very strict about we change the name to Isha.
This is a curious turn of events. How did it come about?
My wife is in the team.
So are you, remember?
Well, I was in it for a short period of time, I think you'll find, because this was only last month, so I've only just joined it.
But you've been immediately made captain.
Listen, the first day I turned up here, I was made captain. What's the difference? Some of us just have a present. I genuinely am not allowed on boats anymore because people keep pushing me at the front and say stay.
So you're allowed to have 1, 2, 3... Could you have 7 men playing in the ladies' league?
No, you're thinking of the men's league.
In this ladies' league, how many men are permissible per
Usually,
team?
under normal circumstances, 0.
Right.
But they made an exception.
Did they not
because
notice you were a man?
The team loses every single week. And they've become a bit of a joke in the Surrey's Ladies' League. So I turned up, they were a player short, and they said, look, you know you're going to lose, you always lose. Why, is there any chance at all we can just have my husband playing as well? I went on, and I wouldn't have got on, but Rolling Subs was feeling a bit sick. She'd had 5 that day, she was shoveling them in. Oh, you go on, Lee, I'm having another one. And so I went on, and they said, it was a little bit of a token thing, they said, let's make him captain because of his large hands. Captain Large Hands, they call him.
So what are you thinking, David? Is this true?
What do you think?
It sounds remarkably untrue.
Do you think it happened?
No, I don't think it happened at all.
I don't think it happened.
You're going to say it's a lie? All right. Goalkeeper, truth or lie?
This is, in fact, a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Lee is not the captain of a netball team. Next, it's Catherine.
No matter how hard I try, I can never properly pronounce the name Mick Hucknall.
David's team.
Well, you seem to pronounce it perfectly there. I mean, it's similar to Mick Hucknall, but I'm...
With an E and an R in it.
Yeah.
Well, I would pronounce Mick Hucknall as Mick Hucknall, and Mick Hucknall I pronounce as Mick Hucknall. And that's the problem.
The Simply Red singer. So who's the singer with Simply Red?
Mick Hucknall.
You can say Mick Hucknall, but not when you mean Mick Hucknall.
That's right, yeah.
So what do you have to mean in order to say Mick Hucknall?
Mick Hucknall.
Right, OK.
And who is Mick Hucknall?
I've never met.
It's not a name one needs to say, unlike Mick Hucknall.
When I say Mick Hucknall, I mean Mick Hucknall, but I've never met a Mick Hucknall, which
But you
I would spell
there you
like
said when you say Mick
Hucknall,
Hucknall, you mean Mick Hucknall.
That's right.
But when you
It's a
say
bit
Mick Hucknall, you mean Mick Hucknall. So what you were saying then is, when you say Mick Hucknall, you mean Mick Hucknall, which means you can say Mick Hucknall to mean Mick Hucknall. So you're fine. It's a lie.
But when I say Mick Hucknall to you,
Yeah.
pronouncing it correctly, I'm imagining it is spelt like Mick Hucknall.
But in order...
Are there other words you get completely...
There's things like spontaneous. I know I'm not pronouncing that in the correct way.
What are you actually trying to pronounce there?
If something's a spontaneous event or spontaneous combustion.
Why don't you try and say spontaneous, and then you can explain to Gabby what you mean by spontaneous.
No, I'm spontaneous.
Were you relieved when Simply Red disbanded and stopped releasing albums?
I was relieved, and but it's a problem as an actress when you have to sort of read scripts and you can't. So I have to have them rewritten.
You could concentrate on working in sort of classical theatre before, because I don't think Shakespeare mentions Mick Hucknall more than a couple of times.
A script without his name in it, though, is Simply Red. So what do you think, David?
What do you think?
I think it has a ring of truth. I just can't imagine you having to say Mick Hucknall that often.
What do you think, Gabby?
She says Mick Hucknall so beautifully.
I think you're through it, and it's great that you could share it tonight, but I think it's only in honour of Catherine's full recovery we have to say that it's a lie.
Oh, OK. Catherine, truth or lie?
That was, in fact, a lie.
Oh, that noise signals time is up. It's the end of the show, and I can reveal that David's team have won by 4 points to 1. But, of course, it's not just a team game. My individual liar of the week this week is Gabby Logan. Yes, Gabby Logan, a woman who could lie for England, which is quite an achievement, considering she's Welsh. Good night.